are they, these masses of gray people? Gray not because of their hair color, but because it's easy to look past them, as if they were nothing more than the worn, dirty layers of clothes they wear on their shaggy-haired, unwashed, time-worn bodies. Gray because, like a dreary, gray, overcast day, we don't like seeing them. Often we just wish they would go away. Isn't there someone, some family member or organization that can fix their problems? Sometimes we see them and think, they aren't like us. But then, in the deepest part of our gut, we worry that they are a lot more like us than we want to imagine. Statistics can be inaccurate and misleading, but in February of this year, 2022, it was estimated that there are 27,000 homeless people in Texas, with about 850 of them living here in Corpus Christi. We call them homeless, but are they homeless? Some of these homeless people will argue that they do have a home. The streets and underpasses are their homes. The city or neighborhood where they live is their home. They resent being lumped into a group that is collectively called the homeless. The government updated the terminology used in its 2004 Guide to Counting Unsheltered Homeless People, referring to an unsheltered homeless person as one who resides in a place not meant for human habitation, such as cars, parks, sidewalks, abandoned buildings, or on the street, while a sheltered homeless person resides in an emergency shelter. Referring to unhoused or unsheltered neighbors sometimes has a more positive connotation than homeless. However, because I will be talking about both sheltered and unsheltered, I will use the term homeless today. And like any other group of people, these sheltered and unsheltered people whose home is often the street, an underpass, or a group shelter are all unique. There is no statement that applies to all homeless people. Each person, each of their histories, and each of their current situations is different. The one thing they do have in common is that they have no sanctuary, no door that gives them safety and privacy, and, if not living at a shelter, no address. There are two primary types of homelessness: transitional homelessness, which many people believe that homelessness is a chronic condition. However, the most common type of homelessness is transitional. Transitional homeless is defined as a state of homelessness that results from a major life change or catastrophic event, perhaps losing your job and then being evicted. It is also true that transitional homelessness can lead to chronic homelessness. A person who has been homeless for more than 1 year is considered to be chronically homeless. Frequently, a chronically homeless person will have one or more of the following: a mental health condition, a physical disability, addiction, or other debilitating conditions that restrict their ability to escape homelessness. Although transitional homelessness is the most common, it is chronic homelessness that is the most challenging. Have there always been homeless people? Sure. Roger Miller idealized the life of the hobo, a slang term for a homeless and usually penniless vagabond, in his song, King of the Road, where he famously sings, "No phone, no pool, no pets, I ain't got no cigarettes." Huckleberry Finn was a homeless teenager. And yes, Some homeless people want the unfettered lifestyle of a vagabond. But beginning in the late 1970s and into the 1980s, a perfect storm of Supreme Court legislation prohibiting involuntary incarceration of persons into mental institutions, government cutbacks, inner city gentrification, including the tearing down of rooming houses, and rising rents in metro areas was largely responsible for a boom in people living on the streets that we still see today. And just as there are many pieces to the cause, there are also many sides to the solutions. In many ways, the little fish in the bucket is like our homeless friends. The fish is really struggling. We're not sure exactly what the problem is. Maybe the bucket is low on water, or maybe there's no food in the bucket, but the fish seems to feel trapped. Unfortunately, the chicken is not a fish, and the chicken seems clueless about how to help. Although the chicken is offering lots of suggestions, like walking and yoga, which aren't possible for a fish, the chicken isn't listening to the fish. In the end, the chicken's only suggestion is to try harder. Perhaps you've heard people say of our homeless friends, if they only made better choices. Now, it's true that some of us have had more experience at being a homeless person than the chicken has had at being a fish. Many of us know people who have or are homeless. Some of us have people in our families who have experienced homelessness. Some of us have even been homeless. So we know that the answers are not easy or universal. Let's take a look at Gloria. Gloria is homeless. On any given day, she can be seen on Staples between Everhart and Costores. She suffers from severe arthritis and walks quite stooped over. She also has some type of problem that prevents her from speaking clearly. A nearby auto supply store lets her use the bathroom. Several months ago, on a hot Corpus Christi day, Gloria was trying to cross Staples during rush hour. She needed to get to the auto parts store. To make matters worse, her pants were too big and were falling down. A friend of mine, who was with another friend, spotted Gloria and helped her to cross the street. They helped her to adjust her pants and then called the police to see if the police could help her. The police told them that Gloria has family in the area, and the police, know the address of her family. But Gloria refuses to accept the help that her family wants to provide. On the other hand, when Gloria tries to rest in the shade, the police harass her and tell her to move on. My friend has brought her water several times, but Gloria will not get into anyone's car. One of the first questions often asked is, why don't they just go to a shelter? For many unsheltered folks who have lovingly adopted pets, shelters that don't allow pets are not an option. In addition to not being able to bring their pets, many of our homeless friends are quite untrusting and wary of the rules and regulations that are a necessary part of shelter life. Nearly all homeless people have some sort of family that once sheltered them. But for many reasons, often involving severe traumatic events, they no longer see their family as a solution. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, is a common disability among unsheltered persons. PTSD and depression work together to make the process of making good decisions extremely difficult. Like the little fish, they are struggling. Mental health, mental disability, and addiction absolutely make solutions difficult. Based on information from homeless people, here are some of their top wishes. Shelters that can accommodate couples. Shelters that can accommodate pets. Shelters that offer daytime hours. Affordable, livable housing near public transportation. Access to mental health and medical facilities. Access to work and training. But first, they must have the most basic needs: food and water, and shelter from extreme cold, heat, and rain. You may have heard us talk about tacos not bombs here at U2C3. So here is a little history. The name Tacos Not Bombs comes from an anti-war statement that if we could afford to buy bombs and drop them on people, then we could afford to feed the poor here. And it really did start with handing out tacos at City Hall. Later, Tacos Not Bombs moved to Artesian Park and became the every Sunday picnic in the park that still takes place today, even as we are talking. So, why is this picnic in the park necessary? Because, surprisingly, the local shelters don't serve meals on Sundays. On a recent Sunday, 20-plus volunteers from a variety of local churches and organizations met at the park to serve plates of pork barbecue sandwiches with a wide variety of side dishes to 210 hungry people. Since they will not get a shelter meal until Monday morning, each of these people also took home a sandwich bag supper. This is John Meza, the coordinator for Tacos Not Bombs. David Adams has helped with Tacos Not Bombs for about 4 years.
Hi, my name is David Adams. I'm a member of a group of people that have been doing this, serving the needy and the homeless for over 8 years here at Artesian Park. I joined a little over 4 years ago. I started by donating clothes, and I saw a need for somebody to be able to cook and help out with the meals themselves. Although clothes were a very important need in the community, we thought that maybe feeding them would probably be a little more important. So what we do every week is we bring a picnic lunch to the park. It can be anything from barbecue, which they usually put with me, and but like today we're having spaghetti, mixed vegetables, a salad, dessert. We send them off with a hot meal in a bag, and then we also add a bag lunch with that so they have something to eat later.
So how can other people help you?
You can join our Facebook page and get an idea of what we do and what we're about. Every week, at the beginning of the week, we post up a menu. If you'd like to volunteer by cooking something, you can sign up. If you just want to come out and help serve the meal, put the food on the plates and bag it up, lend a helping hand any way you can. Everything's greatly appreciated.
Here you can see a bit of what the park looks like on a Sunday morning. But food isn't the only thing.
I think he would prefer not to have books donated so much as other items such as reading glasses of different magnification, starting at 1, going up as high as you can go. 3.25 is what I find at the Dollar Tree, but I think there may be stronger ones available. Those are highly coveted.
And what types of printed material besides books do the people like?
They love word finds, not so much crosswords, but puzzles like word finds, and even there's some of our friends like Sudoku, and so those items go very fast.
Well, thank you so much. And so if people had some of these things, they could probably bring them by on a Sunday morning about noon.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And you see some other donation information up there. Since it might not be possible to take something by the park, you can always bring it by the church. You can bring it by on a Sunday morning, and we will make sure that it gets there the following Sunday morning. Here is a picture of how the Corpus Christi Street Books display. And people get very creative and very helpful in the things that they give out. These ladies are passing out personal hygiene packets. The packets are specific for men or women. And these ladies are at the park every Sunday with hot coffee and iced coffee, plus, of course, sugar and creamers. Connie Guardado is the brains and sometimes muscle behind keeping all of the food organized. Okay, and Connie, what is your main job here with Tacos Not Bombs?
Oh my God. I guess the main thing that I do is keeping up with the menu, keeping up with donations. Pretty much all week long, either picking donations up, handing them to whoever cooks, making sure we have the menu posted up, we have enough of the main and the sides, and just kind of keeping control of every little thing, making sure everything's going good throughout the week.
Wonderful. And what are some of the takeaways that you have gained from working with Tacos Not Bombs?
It kind of gives you a purpose here in life. I feel like sometimes I don't want to, how would you say, like, if I don't feel like doing something, I have to get up and do it because I know people are depending on me to do something.
And if somebody wanted to help you, what would be the easiest thing for them to do?
More than likely either donating or actually coming out and volunteering.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
I'll take them.
Loads of delicious food. And if you look to the corner there are the bags, the sandwich bags, ready to be distributed. U2C3 began participating with Tacos Not Bombs in August of 2019. During those early months before the pandemic, we met as a group on Saturday evening or Sunday morning. We put together peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and assembled the completed bags. Our part has always been to provide the supper sandwich bags on the fourth Sunday of the month. However, we have sometimes also provided special items like soup or sides. We selected peanut butter and jelly for the sandwiches because peanut butter and jelly is extremely healthy, economical, easy to chew, and does not pose a spoilage issue. We now prepare the bags in our individual homes, and each preparer is free to select their own choices for snack items and sturdy fruit. Helping to prepare sandwiches is an introduction to UU principles for even our youngest members. Starting on Saturday morning, the prepared bags are collected and all will eventually be brought to Joanne and Lynn, who will take care of them, who will take them to the park on Sunday morning. Your donations are important. Tacos Not Bombs recently received an incredibly generous anonymous donation of $200 from a member of U2C3. This money will be used for holiday meals, but all of your donations are needed and greatly appreciated. All are welcome to join in the work and socialization that happens each Sunday at Artesian Park. What a wonderful way to practice our first principle, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. So what are the next steps? Some of you may have seen where the Corpus Christi Salvation Army recently announced that they plan to convert an 18,000 square foot gymnasium into a men's dormitory at a cost of $1.8 million. Help does not come cheap. The city of Corpus Christi is considering providing one or more trailers with showers. Officials from the city spoke to Lynn and Joanne about this recently. Father Bruce Wilson, Executive Director of Coastal Bend Community Empowerment, has been a leader in helping people living in disadvantaged neighborhoods to gain the tools and confidence needed to improve their own living conditions. During the pandemic, he began helping people in the homeless community to build their own peer advocate group called Homeless Helping Homeless. Whether it is additional shelter space or a path to being in their own home, there is no shortage of ideas and no shortage of ways to help. And yes, there are still those people who suffer from serious mental illness. Although they are not an imminent danger to themselves or to others, their mental illness prevents them from obtaining and maintaining employment. For them, living independently is questionable. The answers we have seen here today do not meet their needs. And so, I'm closing with these thoughts. Rather than simply moving forward with our solutions, listening carefully, like Amanda learned to listen to Tiny in our story this morning. Listening carefully and compassionately to those we wish to help. And keeping in mind, constantly remembering and constantly attempting to practice our first two principles, the inherent worth and dignity of every person,